We are live. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you this morning. I am here again with my beautiful family, my soul family from around the world. We are connected and we have been connected for a long time, and it's wonderful to come here once a month where I come and bring Pia and Colin on, and we are sharing with you Ascension energies, how to thrive in the new earth, everything consciousness related, everything that we can do to share what we've learned, what we're learning, how to live as an integrated human being, and to, co-create our new earth together. That's what we're doing. So for those of you that are tuning in and listening for the first time to the Cornelia Stephanie Show, if you're seeing this on YouTube, I would so much appreciate if you press that like button and if you press that subscribe button, because that's really going to help us build our community. I'm a community builder. That's my job. I'm here to build communities. I'm here to gather the tribes to help build communities in the new earth. I'm a metaphysical teacher. I work with the 0 point energy of source, and I am a master coach. So this is what I'm here to do, and this is what I've been doing for the last decade. And welcome to the show, Pia and Colin.
Thank you. Always something we look forward to, Kornelia.
We're always happy to be here with you. We always discuss really incredibly deep and wonderful subjects. So thank you for having us again.
Yes, it's great. Now, we just celebrated 4th of July here. So I thought, it'd be great to touch on all the freedom subjects, right? Everything that we value about our freedom. And there's still a lot of growth in that opportunity, in that area to have. So I thought we could talk about that. But I first want to tell you all about my trip.
Please do.
Do you want to hear about the trip that I took to Lopez Island, which is via ferry that I had to go to and take the ferry. And it's about a 45-minute ferry ride. And you drive your car on the ferry and then you get to the island. Well,
we've both done that. We're right there with you because we've both done that in the past.
So you understand that feeling. So Colin, you had mentioned before, talk to the water. So, and that's certainly what I was doing, going over that big, huge body of water, talking to the water, communicating to the water, and very conscious of what I'm up to. Excuse me, let me turn off my email. I sometimes forget. It's early in the morning here. It's 7:30 in the morning, for heaven's sake. So anyway, yes, and I was, with my car on the ferry on my way to Lopez Island, which I renamed Lopez Island. My friend Rebecca, who invited me to come there to be on her cottage, I call it now Rebecca's Island in the new earth. This is what I'm calling it. And so it was incredible when I got there because it activated a remembrance in me and a feeling in me. I cannot even tell you how awesome that trip was, how amazing that island is, and what it did for me. So here's what happened. I get off the ferry, and I go meet with Rebecca. She shows me around her place where she's living, and then she gives me, the tour of the town. And then she takes me over to the place where I'm going to be. And that was like, 4 miles away from where she was, in a cottage, in a little cottage property that her and her husband own. And so I'm there by myself and with just the land. So when you open the door, you walk out onto the porch and you overlook farmland, all farmland. You see the farmland, like wide open space, right? And then the lawn chairs that are sitting right there on the porch, and the flowers and everything that are there attract all these hummingbirds. So in the morning, I'm watching the sunrise, and I'm just surrounded by hummingbird after hummingbird right in my face, and eagles and ravens flying above, and just everything is coming alive. And I'm just feeling like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm in heaven. I really am, and of course I'm in heaven already in my consciousness. Of course I'm already there, but now this is real. This is really real. And this reminded me, it activated something. It brought back a creation of the City of Love that was downloaded to me back in 2008. I'm not going to be able to show it to you today because I want to put it on the wall. It's currently underneath my bed, and I just didn't have enough time to get it pinned up on the wall so I can show you what I'm talking about, which pretty much mirrors everything that I'm saying to you right now, okay, with the City of Love. So basically, this was my experience of the hummingbirds and the ravens and the eagles and just the birds. So I have a daily membership that I record daily spiritual practice and messages to every single day. And I was sitting out on the porch and the birds are singing in the background, and I've got my recording, and I'm speaking the message of what I'm experiencing and how awesome it is. Behind me is the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the water that you're talking about, me talking to the water. So the water is behind me, and there's just a lot of open space. To the left of me, to the right of me, forest land. And so this was basically the setup of my week on this magical getaway. And what it did for me, Ian Cullen, is it reminded me that I need to now move there or find a place that is similar to that experience that I was having, because being able to walk out my front door and being able to be directly in contact with the heart of the mother, with the heart of nature, and being so joyous about the hummingbirds, the eagles, the birds, the flies, the ocean, the air, the space. This is the feeling of the new earth. This is the feeling. Mm-hmm. This activated in me such an enthusiasm, such an excitement that I'm not having on my place where I'm living now. So there's this new desire now that is born to tell my inner honeydew, my inner masculine, hey babe, let's get that properly. Hey babe, let's go move there. Hey babe, this is where we need to go. I want to live here. I want to live here. So I did a lot of energy clearing on the land because Rebecca was telling me that she had some energy attacks and different things that were blocking. And so I did a lot of clearing there, and I did a lot of claiming, and basically planted my seeds in the ground that, yeah, this is one of the homes where I'm going to be living. And this is where I want to, realize and gather my tribes of people to come here in retreat and on retreats. I went pickleball. I went and did pickleball on the beach. Have you ever done pickleball before?
I don't know what
I don't know what that is.
Well, I didn't know what it was either, but I was invited and I decided that I was going to go on all these new experiences. I also went on a date, by the way. I also went on a date, an introductory date. And I was like, oh my God. But anyway, I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm not going to say no to any of these fun things and meeting people and socializing and playing, pickleball. It's basically like a ping pong. You know what ping pong is?
Yes.
So it's like a ping pong on a tennis court. It's basically that. You have a little ball and you have a paddle and you work with a team. So we did ping pong, paddle ball, pickleball on the beach, and with a group of people, brand new people that I've never met before. So, strangers. So that was wonderful, right? Just, doing that. And so there were the opportunities that took place on that island, Rebecca's Island, showed me again how much I want to be part of the community. And I actually saw it happening, that this is where we need to be so that we can grow our own food, right? Because that's what the farmers are doing. They're growing their own food. The community is a small community, about 3,000 people live there. So, and what it was that I really liked is that there wasn't one house after the next, after the next, after the next. There was more space in between, long roads. So you had to, great for bicycling and kayaking and boating. So lots of communication with the water, being able to walk straight down to the beach in the morning after I got up. I didn't have to get into a car to drive to get out into nature. So it brought so much joy to my being and remembrance of what it is that I'm co-creating here on this planet together with the communities of the people that I want to now start building in earnest, right? And after all that inner work, and it's really time now to start building on the land and coming together. So that was my excitement. Is there anything that I said that you want to comment on?
Well,
follow your dream. You've got the seed planted, follow it.
Yeah, I think there's nothing more important than being in nature and being with like-hearted people. So I think what you experienced is what many of us are looking for. Not only being in nature, but sharing nature and sharing ourselves with people that we can really deeply communicate with. So we totally agree with what you're talking about.
Yeah. And you know what was really interesting? When I was in the community there and I was walking and I would bump into strangers, I'm so excited by, wow. I'm like this, right? And these people are living there and they're like looking at me like, where did she come from? Like, who is this woman? What is she talking about? I'm sharing like, wow, you guys have got this magical place here. Do you realize this? Do you have any idea how blessed? And, so I'm coming at it from this, they're looking at me like, wow, this lady is really excited. She's really excited because I saw the vision. I saw the possibility. And whether those people there knew it or not, which I don't think they did and do, not all of them, maybe some of them, but this is the feeling. This is the feeling that we all want in manifesting and co-creating our new earth, co-creating our paradise, co-creating our communities, co-creating our cities of light, co-creating our cities of love. This is what it's about. And it's that feeling, that nature feeling, in harmony with nature, the part that we're all working for, to return back to our true divine nature and return back in harmony with nature.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing more important than that.
That's how we were intended to live. That is really going home.
Yeah, that is. And that's why it brought so much excitement to me. And that's why I said, okay, where I've lived and the places I've lived, it's been great. And that's all been great. But now I need to take it to the next level. Mm-hmm. And I need to be living like this every day. So, I've taken quantum leaps in my life and made choices based on my core values, on what was important to me at the time in order for my ascension, in order for the work that I'm doing and all of the people that I support to be a positive role model and a positive example. And a lot of times it was not making a choice for money. It was making a choice for my heart and what was important from the heart and living according to that. And when the ego then would have fits about, well, you need to be earning more or doing more or whatever, this has been my own process, that now this is the next phase for my life. So can you imagine? I almost didn't go on the trip because work was so hot. Work is hot. I'm busy. things are really busy. I'm magnetizing wonderful people into my life, collaborating with people. And I almost put that trip on the back burner and said, I'll do it later. Can you imagine if I didn't have that experience?
Well, I don't think you would do that, because I think you've reached the stage where you know to listen to your heart. We also have many people who want an intuitive session, a chart reading, a connection with Lartmore for the Pleiadian perspective. We have a lot of that, but we always pay attention to the call to be with like-hearted people and to be in nature. That's a priority for us, and we know that we can't do the best with our work if we don't honor that in our every day.
Yeah, and something you said is unfortunately pretty scary for most people, and that is making decisions about what the heart wants rather than making decisions around money or career or other things that really aren't as important as doing what you just did. So when we explain to people we want to do this, many people look at us as though we're absolutely crazy. Why would you trade being out in nature in the middle of nowhere for a great job, or being in a city where there's so many exciting things to do? So what you're doing and what you're describing is really challenging, honestly, for most people, because they don't want to give up what they're used to, what they think. And let me say again, what they think makes them happy.
And if they don't give up some of the familiar, they'll never be able to discover what they haven't even imagined yet, all the gifts that are there waiting.
So the quantum leaps that you're talking about, they're absolutely necessary. They're absolutely necessary for our soul's growth. I know I've shared this with you before, but I'm not sure the audience knows this little piece that I decided was an interesting theory. It's very quite short. It's any new thing we do should be 50% exciting and 50% scary.
So good, Colin. It's so good. Two things. Pierre, can you take the camera and push it back just a little tiny bit more? Because I want to see all of Colin. And if I have a trouble hearing you, we'll fix it.
Okay.
But right now, it sounds good. So say that again.
Well, it's just a really simple theory. It's anything we do needs to be 50% exciting and 50% scary at the same time, because that takes us to the place of leaping into something unknown. And if we leap into something unknown, we're gonna grow. We're going to be filled with excitement, just as you described your experience on this trip.
It's also, you mentioned quantum leaps several times, and quantum leaps are about gaining freedom. And you talked about, we're going to talk about freedom now, but freedom comes through making a series of quantum leaps and leaving the familiar behind to explore what's new.
Yeah.
That's freedom.
Yeah, it is. And that's really my soul's call. And I feel like it's all of our soul's call, but we have to choose it. We have to make that choice, because we have that free will. That's the one thing that we absolutely have in common, that each of us have free will. We can choose. Everyone can choose. And so what I love about what you said is that 50% excitement and 50% scary, right? Is that how you said it? Well, so that's one of the reasons why I was saying yes to these opportunities while I was away, right? I'm going to play pickleball. I've never done it before. I'm going to go on a date, on a blind date. And I feel like, oh my God, I don't even want, I will do it because, okay, I want to go and, expand, and I will go ahead and do that. So, and recently I went paddleboarding for the first time, paddleboard yoga. And so I did that like a month ago for the first time in the Pacific Ocean here. And we did paddleboard yoga. And the first time when I did the yoga, I was on my knees. We paddled out to where we're supposed to go. Then we anchored the boards. Then we do yoga. Well, this last time when I came back from Rebecca's Island, next morning, it's time to go do yoga again, paddleboard yoga. And this time I wanted to be brave and stand on the board after yoga. Well, guess what happened?
You fell in.
Fell in, got baptized, fell in, totally under, completely soaked, completely cleansed, coming out of the water. And I was reminded of my book. And when you see the book, you see me coming out of the water. You know, that coming out, rising out of the water, and the emotional water. That's, you know, the emotional freedom. Like when you said talking to the water, I love that, because again, it was our emotional body that we had to free from the past traumas that had been stored in our body, where emotions were suppressed. Why? Because we couldn't speak our freedom. We couldn't be free. So we suppressed it, because if we said anything, we might rock the boat, or we might trip off, you know, some people, or we might lose our lives. And so bringing it right into this conversation of freedom, I noticed in your recent newsletter that your MailChimp account was stopped because of freedom of speech. You weren't able to use your freedom of speech. Is that right?
No, what actually happened was I've been back and forth with MailChimp, and it was suspended. The account was suspended, so the newsletter went out late while they resolved this issue.
Okay.
But they suspended it with a warning not to use controversial content. I had put a link in the newsletter to David Icke's most recent video about freedom, because I thought the video was stellar. It's really in alignment with everything the Pleiadians have been telling us, everything we understand and realize about freedom, and totally different from his typical, usual, interesting and informative video shows. This one was different. It was inspiring. It was spiritual.
It was uplifting, and it was about creating the world. And this fits in perfectly with our conversation with you right now. Creating the world we want, creating a positive, completely different world than how we've been living for so long.
So MailChimp sent me a warning saying your account has been suspended for controversial material that's banned. And it took me days to get a response from them. I wrote back and said, what did I say that's so offensive and that's so banned? And when they finally wrote me back, they said it's an AI scanner that goes through people's emails, and if it sees something suspicious, it reports it to the human team, and the human team reviews it. So MailChimp now has said, you've been a customer of ours in good standing for a long time. You don't present any kind of controversial information. You are back in good standing, no problem. So it was really a little awakening of understanding how much AI is taking over, and it still takes the humans to straighten out the problems. We did get the information about David Icke's video out in a blog, which is on our website, larkma.com, LAARKMAA.com. And it's a blog about this energy period that we've entered into, this 13-day energy period that started synchronistically with the 4th of July. And the energetic period is about earth-shaking changes that bring freedom. It's all about anything that shakes us up so that we can make those quantum leaps. And it's really interesting and synchronistic to me that this energetic period started on the 4th of July, and that our account was taken down and said, you don't have the freedom to publish this all at one time, which shows us the world that we're living in and the things that we're having to do to work around our basic freedom rights.
Yeah. And that's, you know, claiming our sovereignty, declaring our sovereignty, you know, always choosing it moment to moment to moment, even when the attacks happen or the triggers happen or the, you know, the blocks happen where it's like, okay, we, the human, have to move beyond it and remember the truth of who we are and rise above this particular old programming that was put in place here, or that is put in place here, that doesn't represent freedom. That's how the new earth is created, right? And I'm so glad that you brought up David Icke. I didn't see that in your blog, Pia. So I didn't.
It's in there in the bottom of the blog. The interesting thing for us, for Cullen and I, is recognizing we didn't get upset when this happened. We just said, oh, okay, another glitch. We'll work around it. The interesting thing is that we're taking all of this in stride, in flow, and we know that there's going to be a gift in it. The gift that came out of this was I emailed David Icke's son and said, we just got kicked off of MailChimp. Who do you guys use that you don't have banned material? And he recommended to me Send in Blue mailing system. He said, these people are great. They don't ban anything. Send in Blue. And then when we emailed him, he looked up our websites, piaorlean.com and lartma.com. And when he wrote back, he said, hey, would you guys like to be on our show? So that's the gift. The newsletter was 2 days late going out. We were under the spell of AI, but it's all resolved now. And we have an invitation to be on a very interesting radio show, another one.
So what we're getting from this is it's extremely important to see stumbling blocks or blockages or whatever seems to be keeping us from being in the flow. Instead of seeing it as a blockage, if we see it as an opportunity to reroute us in another direction so that we can keep doing what we're doing, being of service, helping people, helping the earth, creating the new earth, there's always another way. There's always another way by the choices we choose to make without being upset, as Pia said, or emotional. Mm-hmm. And I think what we're finding is that many of these things that are happening to us are creating the best opportunities, the most gratifying, the most opening opportunities for us. So we're really looking at any problem at this point as simply an opportunity to do something else. And that something else is almost always greater than what we would have been doing if we hadn't been stopped.
Mm-hmm. Great. So everything you said, and that shows that our humanity, the ones that are responding the way you're responding, we're neutral to the event.
Yes,
absolutely.
We're not reacting from an emotional pain or frustration. The emotional waters are not reacting to blaming. You're not a victim. It's none of these things. It's just like, oh, okay. And then be curious about what's going to happen, how you're going to move through it. But I've noticed that too, because I too had interference as well. Like, for instance, when I went on the island, I get there and I have no cell phone. None. I can't talk to anybody. And like, this was a working vacation. So a lot of people that I talk to is with texts and communications on phone. So I can't. And I couldn't call my mom and check in and see how she's doing. I usually call her every other day. She didn't even know where I was. So I actually had to ask someone. I had to ask someone, would you please reach out and make a call to my mom, tell her I'm fine. And, but I had no cell phone. And it was just like, oh, okay. So I have no cell phone. I have to find other ways to communicate, right? Then there was one day where the internet was out the entire day, and I had radio shows scheduled and interviews scheduled where I was being interviewed. I had no way of contacting the people to let them know, no phone, no internet, I can't be there. And no, I'm not a flake. And no, I value time. And how was I going to respond to that, right? So it was really interesting. I got in the car and, drove to the community, to the town. And I walked into this grocery store and I said, is there a phone booth around here? And they looked at me like I was like, what is this woman talking about? A phone booth? Do you still have phone booths here on planet Earth? Is there a phone booth? So anyway, they let me use their phone, the office phone, and I was able to make some phone calls so that I can tell the people that I won't be able to make it today. But it's that energy and how we respond to these issues, how are we responding like a sovereign co-creator that knows that there's all kinds of solutions right there, and to navigate these energies without getting upset, because we don't need to take ourselves out of peace.
Well, the difference is whether we choose to react, which does involve emotions, or whether we choose to respond, which keeps us in the calm heart space.
Which keeps us in our peace.
It's just a simple choice, react or respond.
And it takes so much less energy if we don't react. Reacting always upsets us. It always takes more energy to deal with whatever has occurred, and it's an energy zapping experience. So if we stop doing that, if we catch ourselves as quickly as possible, and this is something our Pleiadian friends have instilled in us over the years, the faster you make the switch consciously between reacting and responding, the easier it is to move forward and do something else. And it doesn't rob us of our life energy. And that's really important, because there's so much for us to accomplish. There's so much for us to do in service. And if we waste our energy being upset, we're not going to be fully available to do the work we came here to do. So responding is always a much better solution than reacting. And I can tell you that when we watch people who are triggered by things, whether it's past, current, future thought, whatever it is, when they're triggered, their energy changes. You can see it in their skin tone. You can see it in their eyes. It's an immediate switch to, uh-oh, there's something wrong, and I don't know what to do, and this is going to be challenging, this is going to be hard, this is going to be difficult. And it absolutely zaps their energy. And we don't need to live like that.
Yeah, because really it's basically, how are you acting then? Because then when you're getting upset, you're acting like something was done to you, then you're acting like a victim. And so basically that's a good measuring gauge. It's like, did I give my power away? Am I truly free? Because as a free being, you have to act like a free being. And really, coming back to the water, the emotional water, our bodies are 80% water. So being able to be at peace, and emotions are magnetic. What are you attracting to you? What are you calling to you? What are you manifesting? What are you calling to you? And if you're out of your peace, what's going to happen? If you're angry and frustrated, you're going to find more of that evidence so that you can stay in that reality, if that's where you choose to be.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is so right.
Yep. And we're noticing something else. When we're in the flow, when we are making decisions from our hearts rather than our minds or what's coming to us externally, when we're really in the flow, in a co-creative stance, our intuitions are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And that is an indication of how important it is to stay, as you say, in a peaceful place, because the intuitions, the information is always there. As long as we are calm, as long as we are working within the flow, those intuitions will come more synchronistically, more often. And Pia and I are just watching this, not just in ourselves, but when we talk to others, as we're speaking with you now about these kinds of subjects. The intuitions are they're rapid instead of once in a while. They're coming one right after another. And that's proving to us that if we stay peaceful, if we stay calm, we are more connected to source. There's no doubt about that.
We have a pretty good intuitive package between the two of us. Cullen knows what to do and when to do it. And I know the way to get there. We're driving down the road and he'll say, which way do we go? And I'll say, don't go that way. There's a blocked car. There's a truck coming. Go this way. And he knows where we have to go and when we have to go. So we're using that conjunctively together, and it is really streamlining and bringing more flow into our lives.
Yeah, and that's really wonderful the way you two work together. That's magical. That I bet a lot of couples would love to have that when they're working together. But always remember, even if you're by yourself like me, having your inner couple, your inner masculine and feminine, working that way. It's like, okay, the divine in me is like, oh, I would like to, do this, and then it's like, oh yeah, let me go get it for you, and let's go do that. Yeah. So but I find that you're so right with the intuitive energies right now, that the more spontaneous that we allow ourselves to be, that the more intuitive. The spontaneous piece really, really helped me over the years with being in spontaneous energy during a time when I was getting like attacks from the dark during that time. And when I noticed what was happening, that the more I did not announce what I was going to do next, but that I spontaneously did something, that is how I was able to move through that energy and counterbalance all of that attack energy that was happening at that time, so that I can really stay in my empowerment and in my sovereignty and move back into that empowered space. So the spontaneous action was really great there. And the intuitive is so rewarding and feels like so much joy, that one of my problems that I have right now, should I call it problem? Should I call it dilemma? Should I call it challenge? What should I call it? But it is something. And I wrote it down this morning because I wanted to ask you what you thought about this. And that is, I'm so excited right now. Like, one of the challenges that I have is grounding that energy. Like, I just want to do it all right now. I just want to be like, this is so great. This is, and it's like, that excitement that you have when you just, but you have to do it in a grounded way, and you have to do it in a step-by-step way. But that excitement is so much, that enthusiasm is so much, that, the challenge is not to, not to go over too far out, but come back in and be grounded. So do you have any insight into that?
The excitement is what sparks the seed to be born. I mean, that's how humans get here. There's an excitement between two people that sparks a seed to be born. But then the growth process is 9.5 months. It's a long process. So allow the seed to be what it is, of the excitement. You've done that step, and then just organically go towards what comes next. What comes next? What comes next? Without
being derailed
Yeah.
by outside circumstance. If there's an excitement, if there's a plan that any of us want to accomplish, if it can't happen in this now moment completely, we can work with that and continue to have that excitement evolve, maybe change, maybe even alter itself, but keep in the flow of that original excitement, and make as many, they can be baby steps. All that's necessary is to keep going. And that, by doing that, we stay in a balanced state. We don't let go of the original idea or the original excitement, but things do happen. I mean, there's so many jokes about, humans planning to do things, and God is laughing about throwing things in their way so that they have to do something different, something alternative to actually accomplish what their original idea was. And
so if something slows you down, just consider it as a blessing of timing. Oh, I need to do something else first because the timing's not right. And if you can look at it through that perspective, you can maintain the spark of this is the exciting idea that I'm going towards, and maybe I've been diverted here or something slowed me down. But rather than going, no, and resisting whatever's diverted you, just go, okay, I'm diverted, and I'll go over here and I'll find something else to take with me on my journey to where I'm going. Because
I know this dream couldn't be possible unless it can happen. I think that's a really important understanding, a really important idea. If we have a dream to do something, I don't mean a nighttime dream, I mean a dream of the next step or the next leap. We can't have that dream or that idea unless it's possible that it will come true. And I think we have to hold on to that and realize, as Pia said, there may be a diversion, there may be something that happens, but don't let go of the dream.
Yeah, no, this is good. What I was using also as an analogy for myself, and I think I talked about it in my newsletter, is that going up a deep hill, a steep hill. So you know you're going up the hill and you're excited and you're going up that hill, and that you're going to take a few steps, you're going to preserve your energy, and you're going to rest in between, and then you're going to keep going, you're going to keep going and keep going. The thing about it is, I've been waiting such a long time for these incredible feelings that I have in my emotional water now, and where I am, and being so joyful with really seeing the all the gifts of our divinity materializing. I've been waiting for a long time. When I say waiting, doesn't mean I've been sitting there on the bench not doing anything, because I've been working my ass off. So I'm not talking about that kind of waiting, but it's like I feel that energy and that excitement now. I feel like we've reached a tipping point. That's what I want to say. I feel like on a collective scale, we've reached a tipping point, and that I feel that forward momentum now, and that there's enough people awake that we are now. It's that excitement and that energy, and I just want to get to it and build and let's go, that kind of feeling. And it's fun. It's fun.
It should be fun. I think humanity has lost basically the ability to simply slow down and have fun. And we're too serious. We're too serious. We're too busy. We're too involved. We make things more complex than they need to be. And the time you took on Lopez Island was a perfect example of being in a place where nature was the biggest experience. It was the biggest teacher. It was the biggest thing you could be living at that moment. And you had fun. If you had stayed home and been busy doing what you normally do, I don't think you would have had the fun and the bliss that you did experience. So I think slowing down and realizing that we're just too darn serious, and that if we lighten up and realize that laughter and fun and excitement have to be part of the mix. We have to have these things in our lives. And I think for the most part, the collective has simply forgotten or stepped away from that. And it's regenerative. It's absolutely regenerative to be in a place where you're having fun, or you're excited, or you're leaping into new things that you maybe never would have thought of doing. So I think fun is a missing element that we need to recapture and spend as much time as possible in that field.
Yeah, it needs to be, if you're making choices every day based on your core value, the fun needs to be a core value, so that you have it as part of your measuring stick. Oh, I'm making a choice based on fun. It's core value. I'm making a choice based on freedom. It's core value. I'm making a choice based on, whatever it is that you're choosing, collaboration or compassion, whatever that is.
Well, to achieve our freedom, we need to jettison some of the things we have believed to be core values. We have had society, religion, church, family, education, government, Everybody that I can think of that is a structural institute has imposed something against freedom. Oh, well, you should do this because it's your family. Oh, well, you should do that because it's Sunday. Oh, well, you should do this because you have to be a patriot. All of these shoulds need to be jettisoned. And everything should come to loyalty to the truth that lives in your heart. And when you make that your core value, then you're going to truly be free.
Yeah. And there's some of us, I feel, that I've attained that freedom within my own being, because that's how I've been living. And, you know, we have to be able to hold that energy of light and freedom in your body. And you have to feel like you are free already. And where you've been speaking up, where you've been standing up, where you've been rebelling against every institution of every structure that you just talked about, all these unsustainable systems that we've been conditioned by over the years, these all have to come down and be dismantled. Healthcare system, all of the things, the school system, all of it, the government, all those different things that need to be re-examined so that we can really truly, the humanity can really truly be sustainable and be free, because it is an ascending core value of the new earth. And, you know, it is.
In order to achieve an egalitarian society, we have to step away from anything that holds us back, anything that maintains control. We have to create new systems that are basically designed to create freedom for all of us. Everybody has to be free. Everybody has to be equal. And most of these institutions that you and Pia just described are filled with separation. They're filled with hierarchy. They're filled with mechanisms that says, you deserve this, you don't deserve this.
And rules that are governed by judgment. If you do this, you're good. If you don't do that, you're bad.
And we have to, in order to create the heaven on earth, the absolute way that we should have been living all along, we have to let go of what I have talked about and written about. We have to let go of all the bad training, because the bad training has simply indoctrinated us to believe that someone knows more than we do. And that is absolutely a false idea. It's an illusion that anyone knows more than we know in our hearts. We are self-directive. We know instinctively, intrinsically, what to do. We know what choices to make. And when there's so many pressures from the outside that say, no, that's not something you should do because we don't approve of it, or you won't make enough money, don't do that dream, don't follow that dream because it won't pay you what you need. We need to simply stop listening to all these voices and just listen to ourselves, because we have all the information, we have all the love, and we have all the grace and flow inside of each one of us. And once people recognize that will be a game changer, and that will help create what we're attempting to do at this point.
Yeah. Are the two of you free?
Yes.
I think we're absolutely free.
We have fears, Kornelia, and that's one of the key pieces of freedom. I'm not afraid to die. Cullen's not afraid to die. We're not afraid of what's coming towards us from outside sources. We're not even afraid of losing each other. We prefer not to, but we're not afraid of it because we know we're never going to be separated. So there is no fear on any level in either one of us.
We don't fear that we won't have enough money. We don't fear that we will get sick and die. We don't have all of these fears that almost everybody walking this earth is feeling almost all of the time. Yeah. We just don't have those.
We don't live there. We don't live in those, oh, what if something happens, or what if. We don't live there. We live in the present moment, and we respond to life as it presents itself. And we take the challenges, as Cullen said earlier, as opportunities, and we keep moving forward.
Yesterday I was doing a podcast with one of my entrepreneur cohorts, and she was talking about how she sees me do this on a regular basis, and basically she sees me do this with groups where she says that I have no judgment. I have no judgment. This is the model of what I'm showing her, or what I'm showing the group, that I have no judgment. And and it was really interesting to hear that coming back from someone that is seeing me, model this and show this. And one of the reasons why this is such an important piece is because I have a very strict boundary, a line in the sand that is very clear, is that I absolutely refuse to judge myself. I refuse it. I absolutely refuse to think negative of myself. I absolutely refuse I refuse it. That rebellion that you're talking about, Pia, against it starts at home, right?
Yes.
Here.
Yes, it does.
It's right here. And that line is right here. And what's so awesome about that, once you have that, then you extend that out, and you are now offering that service to other people.
Yes.
That's what the Pleiadians have been trying to teach humanity for the entire time we've worked with LARPA. One of the key principles they've been teaching is the principle of Inlakesh. I am another yourself. If I am another yourself, there's no room for judgment. I can't judge you. I can't judge myself, because if there's judgment involved, it hurts me and it hurts you.
What you're both describing in the way I think, in the way I speak, you're both describing self-love. If we truly love ourselves, there's no room for judgment. There's no room for telling ourselves we're not good enough, we're not doing a good enough job, we're not helping enough. If we come from a place of self-love, there's no room for that. And you're absolutely right, Kornelia. When we live in a space like that, it beams out of us. It comes out of us. Other people notice it, and they say, I don't mean Pia and me specifically, I mean anyone. They notice that the energy is different that's being broadcast. And I think it makes people question, well, I would like to be like that.
Yeah.
I would like to live my life like that. And so what that does is it teaches by example, without speaking, without judgment, without even teaching. People feel it. They energetically feel it. And that is what's changing the world. That is what's making people wake up and realize there's more here than we ever imagined. The illusion we've been living under is really not the truth. And so that self-love broadcasts, it ripples out in all directions, in all ways. And if people can achieve self-love and realize that they have to take care of themselves first, and this is really important, because family, religion, government, education all say, take care of everyone else first. And if there's an ounce of energy left, then you can be kind to yourself, or you can do something for yourself. That's absolutely the opposite of cosmic law or cosmic truth.
Yeah. And you know what? I want to, this is a big piece, because I use this analogy as well. The religious programming has been, teaching people over thousands of years to put thy neighbor first.
Yep.
That's the part. I mean, I know, because I was working with a dean that went to the dean. He was a dean of the Divinity College. And, here he was, the dean in a divinity college, and he had all this training on how to connect with God, how to connect with source and all of that, but didn't have it. And then he's going to meet somebody like me, right? And didn't have any of these trainings, but I am completely 100% connected to the source. And I can help you connect. And I can tell you how you can connect and invite you to go in and open the portal, open the gate, make the connection, right? But and because of that programming that always made you look outside in the sky, there's a man in the sky that has a beard and that's judgmental, and that, you know, whatever the programming is, to you know, look for a God in the sky, look for your, you know, whatever it is. But that programming was so deeply ingrained in people to put their neighbor first that they left themselves out of the equation. So even someone at 90 years of age, which my friend was 90 years of age, I was able to guide that person into himself and ask him, is he willing to put himself into the equation, and you know, not sacrifice himself as the victim for other people, because that's the old paradigm.
Yep.
And
not the problems, Kornelia, is that the Christian saying is love your neighbor as yourself. And if they don't teach how to love yourself, how does that reflect on how you're going to love anybody else?
Well,
so
and
exactly.
Yeah. Love your neighbor as your, and but you've never learned to love yourself, because
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, because they made it seem like if you love yourself, you're being selfish.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so interesting to watch all of these programs that have truly taken us away from the truth. That almost all institutions, almost all organized, whatever the organization is, has taken people away from the truth and created more and more separation. And I think probably our greatest job collectively is to bring back that Mayan idea of In Lakesh, that I am another yourself. What I do to you harms me. What I do to myself is good for you.
That's a core value. That's a core value that needs to be, but you have to be first. You have to put yourself into the equation first. You have to fill your cup and allow yourself to be, allow yourself to give from that overflow and not from a depleted state, which is really, really important, you know, because then you're not giving from a place of resentment.
Yes.
We stop so many societal problems by simply living through the principle of In Lakesh. The very idea of the mass suicide rates that we have that are increasing because of the depression on the planet, if the people who are considering taking their life understand that what they do to themselves hurts everybody else too, then they would think differently about their perception. It would change the whole game. The same thing for anybody who's suffering in any type of situation. If you truly understand the core value of In Lakesh, I'm another yourself, you have to take responsibility for being kind and loving and generous to yourself, and then letting that reflect outwards to everybody you meet.
I just want to close the show for today because we just have a few minutes left. But I did have the thought too that I wanted to connect with you guys and talk about suicide again, because there was a question that came up that I wanted to bring to into discussion to talk about, but we'll do that next time. But just to close up this beautiful show today, that we talked about freedom, we talked about our autonomy, we talked about self-love, we talked about all the amazing ways that we can, go in and be free and live in our intuitive self and live in our spontaneous self and connect with nature. We talked about all these wonderful things. We hope that you take us up on living this way, and that you say yes to your life, and say yes to your life that you value and that you matter, and that you put yourself first. I have a 21-day course that's $21. $21. My God, it's like, how many lattes is that? But it's a guide to tune you into yourself. 10 minutes a day. I ask you deep questions so that you can take it into your soul journaling and discover what's really important to you. So I'll put the link in the below description so that you can have access to that. It's a lifelong practice that you can use to fall deeper in love with yourself and know that I am loved, I am confident, I am worthy, I am abundant. And unless you're really feeling that way, that's where the work lies, right? So I also want to close in the description below. I want to put that video that you talked about from David Icke. I'm going to go grab that, and I'll be putting that link below too, so that you guys can see. If you don't know who David Icke is, you can look and see and listen to that video. I want to see it myself. And then Pia and Colin, why don't you all share the website information, how people can look you up and learn more about you and what you do.
We have two websites. The first one is LARKMA, LAARKMAA.com. And the other one is Pia Orlean, PIAORLEANE.com. And both of them have all the services that we provide, all the books that have written, some of which have won awards, some of which are translated into 5 or 6 languages. We have many pathways to explore the Pleiadian and other worldly perspective that we've been working with for decades. Thank you for our conversation, Kornelia.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We'll see you again next time. Thank you. Namaste, beloveds.